Hello my friends, and welcome to this breakdown of the Amethyst update. So today, Creative Assembly really came out of nowhere, just out of left field, with an update which added a character to the Empire, which is going to be the Amethyst Wizard, which of course is the namesake of this patch here, but they also have a ton of balance changes, which is going to be pretty interesting to go over. So we'll be looking at the character first, and from there we're going to be taking a look at all the balance changes. Not really going to be focusing so much on campaign. There's been a ton of videos all over YouTube from other YouTubers just talking about that stuff, so we're really going to be focusing heavily on multiplayer, as that is my forte. So firstly, we're going to be taking a look at the Amethyst Wizard. So firstly, let's talk about the aesthetic. This guy's got a badass beard. Definitely rivals that of Cetra. And yeah, Count Noctis, I suppose, would be in the contention for the best beard ornaments. But this guy does not need an ornament or any fake beard. He has a powerful, long, I guess it's like a goatee. I don't really know what you would actually call that kind of style. I guess it's just like the evil wizard style. But anyways, it is going to be giving Lore of Death to the Empire, which is very strong. Empire has some pretty good lores of magic. They, of course, have Lore of Life. Lore of Beast, not as good as it used to be. Of course, the Manticore Summon has been nerfed. Flock of Doom is still a pretty good spell, and of course, Wyton's Wild Farm and the Amber Spirit can be good as well, but Lore of Death is going to be super good. And now that they're going to have this, the Empire already has some really good sniping potential. So for example, you could bring like a Light Wizard, just get nets, you get Spirit Leech, you get a ton of guns and powder, and you can really snipe things down. So it's going to give the Empire a ton of sniping potential, give them a lot of offensive output, and yeah, it's good. I think it's going to certainly change the metagame quite a bit for the Empire, and it's only going to make them stronger, right? And yeah, it looks like he's also got a skeleton on here. He's got some amethyst kind of tied up. This guy's looking like an absolute pimp. So pretty excited to see him and give him a spin. I mean, of course, it's not going to be some huge new thing like, oh my God, what is this wizard? It's just going to be a Lore of Death wizard, right? But still, using it with the Empire is really going to be different. Something that, obviously you're going to have to respect now. Normally, when you go up against the Empire, you're like, all right, it's going to be Lore of Life. I can kind of build around that. But here, this is something else that you're probably going to see in the competitive circuit quite a bit. I mean, the Supreme Sorceress with the Dark Elves, for example, is like one of the most common picks with Lore of Death. So yeah, I think we're going to be seeing this quite a bit, especially if people go with like Boris Todbringer or the more independent lords that you don't need to babysit. Karl Franz, I think you're always going to be seeing. I mean, Karl plus Lore of Death could be some really mean sniping. I mean, he can like 2 or 3, not 2 shot, but like 3 or 4 shot some really powerful characters. So that plus Lore of Death could be really strong, but even still, you're probably going to be seeing this guy with Boris Todbringer and characters like that. So the Amethyst Wizard, of course, on here, and this is on the Total War blog here, so for anyone who's looking, there will be a link in the comment section below. You can read about all the fixes to the campaign, and there's quite a few. I mean, a lot of changes. I mean, warp fuel has been adjusted. It looks like this Skaven had some nerfs in campaign as well. They're obviously very strong. Having access to those nukes and some of their new units, it's pretty powerful. So there's going to be a lot of changes there, but we're going to be going down here and looking at the battle balance changes. So firstly, pretty big stuff here. Nerfs to the vampires. And this is going to affect vampire costs as well as vampire counts. So lately I've been on a bit of a tangent about if you're playing the vampires, you really need to start kind of not relying on summons, right? When I used to play Vampire Coast, almost all my builds that I work with are very reliant on summons, right? You have a pretty thin front line, only like a couple zombies, and then a very powerful gun line. And from there you just plug your holes, or you plug the issues in your formation using the zombie summons. So you can't really do that as much anymore. And they're going to be taking another hit. And I think Undead has been very powerful for quite some time. So most people are going to be on board with this, but we're going to see. So Invocation of the Heck lasts 2 seconds less, which is pretty substantial. I'm not sure how often it ticks. Yeah, but anyways, it's going to be a nerf. It's quite a bit. Invocation of the Heck upgraded as well. Costs 1 extra, which is a big deal. I can't tell you how many battles I've been in where like I'm just waiting on 1 wins of magic. It's like the end game, right? And like you get it and it wins you the game. So that's a pretty big nerf for sure. But also check this out, a maximum of 4 targets. So that is a huge, huge nerf. Before, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Invocation of the Heck had limitless targets. So you could like stack your whole army in a Death Star. But now, I mean, most people use it just to heal single entities. So it's not going to be super different. But if you are trying to be one of those people who's going to blob everything up, get a huge value heal, and then fan back out, you're not going to be able to do that as easily. So for example, if you have like 2 Terrorgeists and Manfred and let's say some like Blood Knights or something, you could heal all those. But if you accidentally have zombies or skeletons or any other troops nearby, I wonder how it's going to prioritize that. Because potentially it's just going to, like, if you have like 6 units there, is it just going to cast and pick 4 of them randomly? Because that is a pretty big deal as well. So looks like on that same note, some of the big things are healing, obviously healing up single entities and a bunch of like, blobby formations. It's going to nerf Earthblood as well. So maximum 4 targets, Earthblood upgraded, max 4 targets. So yeah, it's just going to be nerfing the radius of that. Not radius, but making sure that you can't just heal your whole army with that, which I think is pretty good. I like it. I like anything that forces players to use other lords of magic. I was actually playing around quite a bit the other day with the Lore of the Deep, and I was having so much fun. I was like, damn, this is like playing a new game almost. I really hope that I was saying to myself, I'm like, I really hope Creative Assembly does something to make these other lores more, enticing. And I certainly think these nerfs to Invocation to Heck, the nerf to Summons with Drown Dead, as well as the Raise Dead, is going to be pretty big. And Earthblood, obviously, it's still good. It didn't get a nerf, I don't think, in terms of its capacity. So most time, Earthblood is going to be healing like 2 infantry in the front line. It's not, the Earthblood nerf isn't really that significant. The bigger one is Invocation to Heck, because vampires typically blob up more and are going to be getting those tank heals. So Guardian tweaked to 15% physical resist. That's cool. Raid-Storm for Noctilus. So Noctilus has taken some blows for sure, with the nerfs to summons and things like that, but he's going to be taking another right hook here, as the Wraithstorm is going to be a slight tweak accuracy, so I'm sure that's a nerf. It was fairly accurate before, so I feel like that's going to be getting tuned down. A bit of a shame here, the Brass Orb for the Skaven has been nerfed. I think Jezzail's, not Jezzail so much, but the Natty Bubos and the Doom players were the things that were really kind of oppressive with Skaven. I kind of like that the Brass Orb was an instant cast. It was super fun and super fluid, but now it has a wind-up time of 3 seconds, so your opponent is going to be able to dodge it much easier, which I suppose is fine. I don't think it was like a game-breaking ability, but I understand they're trying to keep like consistency with those type of spells, so there's going to be a cast time and nothing's instant. For the Beastmen, a couple nice little buffs. It looks like the Cygor has 800 health, 35 plus 35 base melee damage. That's pretty big, actually, and plus 15% AP melee damage. So he's going to be getting buffed up. Obviously, Cygor summons have been nerfed, but it looks like they're trying to encourage people perhaps to bring regular Cygors, which I think is cool. So the Cygor nerf, or buff here, yeah, it's very welcome. I think Beastmen really took a big hit from the most recent DLC. I mean, now they have a super hard matchup with the Skaven as well. Plus, their summons. They relied very heavily on Manticore summons and Cygor summons in the competitive circuit. So I think buffing some of these units is going to be nice. So lowers base melee damage, but gives them more AP, which is always welcome. Ungor Spearmans with shields get +4 leadership and lose a charge bonus, which is fine. So yeah, a little bit more durable. Minor buff to the Beastmen faction. Not going to be terribly substantial, but that Cygor buff is pretty big, actually. So maybe you're going to see more people coming in with like double Cygors, or the Eye of Morsley plus a Cygor. They're going to be better in melee. 800 health is quite a bit, so I like that. Dark Elves, let's see. Cold One Knights, -1 melee attack, -1 melee defense. It's fine. I mean, it's a little bit of a nerf. Dark Elves have been a pretty top tier faction throughout the course of Total War Warhammer 2. So, I mean, these are pretty insignificant nerfs. Nerfs to the Cold One Knights, just by -1/-1. I don't know if like you needed to lower the melee defense of Cold One chariots in these troops, but I mean, these just all seem like super micro changes, but I mean, it is a nerf, right? At the end of the day, those are variables that can mean winning a fight or losing a fight. But still, I think Dark Elves are going to be perfectly fine. They still have a very powerful roster. They have Witch Elves. They have great lore choices. No problem. So this is going to be big. A lot of people were saying Lizardmen and Skaven were pretty heavily power creeped, and they certainly were to an extent, but you can see here Creative Assembly has taken notes, and they're going to be changing it. So Croak costs 100 more and -10% damage on the Deliverance of Pizza 1, 2, and 3. So he's still going to be super good in the matchups in which he was good before. He's going to be great against Undead. He's very good at nuking infantry-centric factions. I think this is a warranted change, but he's not good in every single matchup, but yeah, it's fine. I think he's still going to be really good. 10% isn't like the end of the world. It's not really that big of a deal, to be honest, but the cost increase I think is good. And over the course of like nerfing a whole roster, 100 gold can be quite a bit. Ancient Salamander loses a little bit of range, which is going to change him quite a bit. It's going to allow like handgunners and other units like that to get a little bit closer to Sally and do some work. -5% explosion, slightly increased in entity size to make it a bit of an easier target. Wow, 18, wow, that is a huge nerf. Look at the health on that. So 1,869, that's what she said, health has been nerfed off the Ancient Salamander. That is a big nerf. Wow, that is a lot of health. Jeez, that's pretty intense. Remove speed reduction from the contact effect, so it no longer slows, which is a big nerf. So man, got a little bit more ammo to be a little bit more sustainable, but those are pretty big nerfs. So if you were relying heavily on the Ancient Sallies before, you might need to kind of reevaluate your strategy a little bit. They're still going to be very good. The range and the explosion damage is pretty insignificant. They're still going to be very good against blobbed infantry, but losing that health, that is pretty big. And plus, losing their slow. I mean, I guess they did get a little bit more ammo, so that's a pretty nice little buff. I mean, but even still, that is a big nerf. The Thunderous one costs a little bit more. I don't think that was even necessary. I mean, it's a good unit and all, but it wasn't like oppressive. The Red Crested King Chief, I think, was one of the characters that is relatively oppressive, so he does get a buff, or a debuff, or a nerf, I should say. 50% to his multiplayer cost, which, I think it could have been maybe a little bit more if he's on the Stegodon. He's not bad unless he's on the Stegodon. And even still, he's not like bad, but he's able to duel with his Warrior's Crest. The Red Crested King Chief is able to duel like big characters. He can fight Karl, he can fight Kolek, and actually win in some of those fights with his Warrior's Crest. Plus, he's also much better against infantry. So he's basically like a better anti-large hero and a better infantry duelist. So that's why I think he needed a bit of a nerf on the Stegodon. So 50, I don't know if that's even going to be enough to deter people. I'll still bring him 100%. I mean, he's super good. 50 gold isn't that big of a deal. It's just a couple chevrons. So I think maybe he could have used a little bit more, but nonetheless, it's not going to be the end of the world, like I said. Star Chamber Guardians, plus 50 cost. Powhawks' Sentinels got 50. The Bastillodon with the Arc of Sotek got a reduction. I think you could even take like 100 off that thing. That thing is just such a haggard, terrible unit. Tic-Tac-Toe, drop Sphere of Tapok is now free in multiplayer in his default. That's cool, encouraging people to bring other characters. Croc scores lose a little bit of AP. I don't think Croc scores were that oppressive of a unit, but I mean, losing a little bit of AP damage, it definitely sucks, but they're still going to be good at what they do. Horned Ones have gotten a cost increase, which is probably due to solely due to Falcon for just using Horned Ones with the Abronos Time Warp. That is a pretty substantial nerf. If you're coming in with like a Horn One build, typically you want to have a critical mass where your opponent like is going to get overwhelmed with armor. So having 3 of those is going to be an extra 300, which is quite a bit. I mean, that's going to make, you know, you're going to have to cut an infantry unit or something else. But nonetheless, I think the players that really like to use them will still use them. Cold One Riders, same as the Cold One Knights, have had a little bit of a nerf, and same with the Cold One Spear Riders, which is fine. Now for the Skaven, Warplock Jezzail's ROR, so this is going to be Natty Booba Sharpshooters, have had +1 to their reload time, -3 melee defense, so that's fine. I mean, they're still going to be really good. And if that's only nerfs for them, they're still going to be a very powerful unit, which you obviously don't want to see, you know, Creative Assembly come in with just the crushing hammer and just like make these cool new units like terrible, right? I think these micro changes and just kind of observing it over the next couple months, their win rates and their stats, I think is very good. So yeah, this is fine. The melee defense, that just seems like a bit of a weird thing to nerf on them, but I guess if you catch them, they should die quicker. So I guess fine. The reload time is going to be substantial. I think that's good as well. So yeah, I like those changes. I think maybe you could have you could even go a little bit longer on that, but I think that's fine. Poison Wing Globadiers, you know, kind of a mediocre unit. I don't think you're, even with these changes, I mean, that's a pretty big change, right? -50 MP cost, and then 150 for campaign, perhaps? Is that what it's saying? I'm not sure, but they're still going to suck compared. I mean, now that you have Jezzails and Rattling Gunners, there's absolutely no reason to bring Poison Wing Globadiers. They're just terrible. I mean, they have to get close. They're very inaccurate. I think giving Globadiers like a massive accuracy buff would be really nice, but they're still going to be terrible, in my opinion. Warp Fire Throwers and RORs get 30 armor. Okay, that's not bad. Give them a little bit of a sustainability there. Rattling Gunners +50 cost, small reduction in accuracy. Rattling Gunners are pretty good. Yeah, as long as it's a micro reduction, because they're already pretty inaccurate. I mean, Rattling Gunners really only get huge value when you get like close to them or like within half of their maximum range. So yeah, it's fine. It's just a bit of a blanket nerf across the Skaven, but I think with all their combined resources, they're still going to be super strong. Stormvermin with Halberds got a buff to their AP and -1 from their base melee damage. Doomflayer's got a pretty big nerf. 20% health is a lot. -10 armor. So I think they set it at 100 armor base. So they're going to be at 90 now. They lost some mass as well, so they're going to be easier to pin down. I think this was a good one. Doomflayer's going to be pretty oppressive for sure, especially in the hands of people with very good micro. So I think this is it's a good nerf. I like it. Warlock Master, let's see, added Terror, can no longer hide in the forest, -4 melee attack. Charge bonus, man, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And Ikit is Doomflayer no longer causes fear or hides in the trees. I feel like a Doomflayer should cause fear. I don't think that was that bad, so I don't know if I would agree with that change, but that's okay. Vampire Counts, Cryptor's got a buff. Helman Gorst, the Dark Lord himself, coming in and getting a pretty sweet little buff here. His Corpse Cart -50 to the cost, and Reliquary Corruption is free and on default in multiplayer. That's great. Vargulf's got a nerf. I think Vargulfs could be pretty annoying. So it's just the way their like mass and hitbox works. So -10 to base melee damage, -20 AP melee damage. They're still going to be good. I think it's a fine nerf. I like that Cryptor's got a little bit of a buff because Vampire Counts really do have a hard time dealing with like armored shield walls. I mean, yeah, you have Lore of Death with Manfred and a couple other options like Graveguard with great weapons, but it's really tough to crack through like Temple Guard. So Cryptor is getting a buff. I think they could use a little bit more. They've been bad for a really long time, so I feel like buffing them a little bit more would have been nice, but you know, I'll take the 1 melee attack. It's fine. Now this is actually a really big nerf. So Vampire Coast is just getting Steel Chair, just karate chopped for, man, just the entire duration of this content patch. So, I mean, Morngulls no longer cause terror, the basic ones. That is a huge nerf. One of the main reasons I really like to use Morngulls before is kind of as a backline support unit, which you push up once the enemy is tattered to terror out them. So that is really big, and it's going to encourage people to bring the Night Terrors. But the Night Terrors, the fact that they rampage pretty much just makes them kind of terrible. Plus the nerfs to Invocation, it's going to be really tough to keep those guys alive. So big nerfs to Vampire Coast. They've been hit with Noctiluss again. He's had his Armor Lord by 5, which, I mean, I don't know. He just keep pummeling him while he's down. But he's still going to be really good. I think Noctiluss, the Ross Moondale, and his summons are solid. He's a great caster. So no complaints there. He's very tough to snipe. So I think Noctiluss is going to be fine. The Morgul nerf is really substantial. That's gonna, you know, and they're trying to push people more to using the Hulks and things like that, but that's big. That's a big nerf. So Vampire Coast getting Steel Chaired, I still think they're going to be a top tier faction. So don't cry for them. Do not cry for Vampire Coast, but nonetheless, that is a pretty big nerf. So that's going to be it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown and our new Pimp Wizard up here with his hat and his what is that? What is that from? That beard is like from something. I can't remember what I've seen it in. Like it must be some like sort of one of those 80s like you know, Conan era movies. I'm not sure, but anyways, he's got a powerful ass beard and it's going to be fun. So thanks again for watching, guys, and yeah, that's going to be the Amethyst update breakdown, and we will see you guys on the battlefield. Take care.